Hi there, Flat Cap Chef here, and today I'm going to share with you a Scottish recipe. It's called Cullen Skink. It's basically a smoked haddock, potato and onion soup. It's being prepared for you by my great friend, the Scottish chef. If you don't have smoked haddock, you can of course just use any white fish. Enjoy.
Hi there, it's Duncan again. I'm doing another cooking video for the Flat Cap Chef. Now today I'm going to make for you something slightly special. It's Cullen Skink, which is a Scottish soup made with some smoked haddock and thickened with potato. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got a nice bit of smoked haddock, not dyed. There's about 250 grams of smoked haddock here. I've got one leek, one onion. In here I've got a pan with about 150 mils of water. That's what I'm going to cook the haddock in, and I'm going to keep the water to flavour the soup. I've got 250 mils of milk, I've got one potato, and I've got some butter. So the first thing I'm going to do is cook off the haddock and chop up the onions and the leek. Okay, so as you can see, the haddock is now in the pan with the water. The water's heating up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to let it come to the boil, and then I'll just put the lid on and let it sit for a couple of minutes and then take the haddock out. Okay, so as soon as the fish water came to the boil, I turned the heat off, put the lid on and left it there just sitting away. We'll come back to that in a second. I have chopped up the onion quite finely, and then I've peeled the potato and washed my leek. I'm just going to very quickly cut the leek into rounds and put them in with the onion. And what we'll do is once they are all chopped up, then we will soften them with some butter. So we'll come on to that. That leek's almost done. Oops. That bit decided to escape. Never mind. We'll clean that up later. So that's the leek done. When you're using, obviously when you're using potatoes, then you need to keep them in water, otherwise they discolour. So there we are. Put that bit over there. I'm not going to use that. I'll just very quickly chop up this potato. Not being too precious about it. Everything's getting cooked. And a lot of this is going to get blended at the end anyway, so that's all fine. Okay, so we've got the potato in the water, we've got the leeks and the onions, so we'll just go over to the stove. We'll get the heat on. Start now, I think. That's on. I don't want that on too fierce. Okay, now all I'm going to do, that butter is slowly melting. I'm going to turn the heat down a bit until it's quite low. I'm going to put a lid on it. I'll give it a stir every couple of minutes or so, but I'm going to leave that now for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, my fish has cooked off nicely. So all I'm going to do is take this out. You can see it's starting to flake itself. Put that in this bowl. Let that cool down until it's nice enough to handle. And of course, as I said, we're going to keep the water because that's going to form most of the basis for the soup. So, the leek and the onion have been sweating off now for a few minutes, and as you can see, they're really all nice and soft, but they're not going brown. I don't want any colour on them at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the potatoes into the pan. Like so. There we go. Put that over there. Now, just give them a quick stir. And I want them to get covered with some of that nice leaky oniony mixture. And I'm going to give them a couple of grinds of black pepper. Just to give get some nice flavour. I haven't put any salt in this yet, so I'm going to put a tiny pinch of salt in. Not a lot, because I'm going to season it at the end. So literally just a little pinch of salt. But that just gives the potatoes a bit more flavour. And also the fish stock contains some salt as well. Or what is the fish stock? So here's the water that I have been poaching, that I poached the haddock in, and in it goes into there. Loads of flavour. Let's give that a wee stir. Right, put the lid on. I'll come back and that'll take about 10 minutes to cook. Just turn that up a little bit. In the meantime, here's the smoked haddock that I poached, and very simply, all we're going to do is break that into little flakes, like so. That's absolutely lovely. Perfectly cooked, just nicely falling off, but not a mush. And that will go into the soup when we're ready. And then all we need to do with this is we'll blend a little bit in with the soup, but we'll just put most of it in and in these little chunks and heat it through when we're ready to serve it, and that will be absolutely delicious. There we are. So the potato and leek and onion mixture has now been bubbling away for about 10 minutes, and if you can see that, you know, the knife just goes in, the potatoes are lovely and cooked. So what we'll do now is we're going to take some of this out of the pan, because we want to use this as a garnish later. So I'm taking a bit less than half out. Okay. I'll turn the heat off now. And also in here, I'm going to put in some of the smoked haddock that we cooked off earlier. Again, a bit less than half. Done. I'm going to add my milk we had earlier, we measured out earlier. That'll go in there. And I found some cream in the fridge, so I'm going to make this super indulgent and put a little bit of double cream in there as well. Look at that. Delicious. Okay, now I've got a stick blender, but a potato masher would do just as well. Get this thing on. There it is. Turn that on. And all I'm going to do is blend this and make it quite smooth. So, I don't want it too smooth. There we go. That should do nicely. So, wash. There's that. So you can see it's smooth-ish. I'll now put back the leeks and potatoes that I took out earlier, and also the remainder of the smoked haddock. Okay. Put the heat on again, just on low. I just want to warm that through really now. While that's happening, I'll grab a couple of little spoons because I need to check for seasoning. So I'm going to put some salt into here, and I'm going to add some more pepper. Give that a stir. Now, whilst I'm doing this, this is a great soup for the winter time. It's lovely and warming. It would also serve a similar sort of recipe. Makes a really good clam chowder. So instead of the butter, you can use oil and pancetta to soften up, to give it some flavour, and then cook the clams off in the same way as you would the haddock there, and use the clam juice as the base. So it's a fairly versatile recipe, this. Yeah, that's lovely. That's now nice and warm. All we've got to do is spoon that into a bowl, and that's a nice, hearty, delicious plate of soup. Thank you very much.